What we got here? Old 346 XP, little hot rod. This is the original 42 millimeter. Got some light scoring on here. Nothing really hurt. Needs a fresh piston. And customer says, since you was, let's do a little bit of performance work. And he just wanted a small bump in performance. We'll do a muffler mod on what we got. And I've already started doing a little bit of grinding, widening the exhaust. There's not going to be any machine work to this. It's just going to be a old woods port, but there's going to be plenty of room to help this exhaust go. I'll do a little intake work and then touch the uppers, and that should about do it. Slap a new piston in there, get everything sealed up nice. I did take a look at the carburetor. Carburetor looks squeaky clean. There's one fault with this, and here's a good thing to share. This is your impulse line, and when I found this, this was disconnected. You can actually see some dirt in there from where it was, and I think that's what caused our slight lean seizure. Well, scoring. These had a terrible time. This is just like a little plastic clamp that's on here, and it did okay for a while, but after, you know, a couple of years of use, these would start leaking around here. So what we'll do is, if you, what we got? I got some parts around here somewhere. There we go. Instead of trying to make regular fuel line work, I actually spend, these are like $3, $4 for this molded piece, because that really has to take, if you look at it, a pretty hard bend. And if you try and use some straight fuel line on that, eventually that's going to get some memory and then pinch to the point where you're not going to be getting good impulse and run into that kind of damage. But the long-term solution, this is a 390 XP hose clamp for the intake boot. We're going to lose this plastic piece right here. I'm going to put a new boot on the intake and then clamp it down with a big boy clamp. There's my new intake. You know, it's rubber. It doesn't last forever. It gets firm. So anyway, sit back. Hopefully this will be fun. I'll try and keep this one short using a Meteor piston. Shouldn't be anything wrong with that. That's the 42 millimeter version. Quickie in and out. Timing advance, muffler mod, light port work. Again, like I said, just a quickie performance build here. You know, no machine work or anything. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I've widened the intake just a touch and just squared it off. There's a nice, when you look at through how your fuel and air mix comes through here, as it tapers out, I continue that taper in there. Didn't get anything crazy. I left the lowers alone because I want to keep the velocity up. You've got plenty of room. That shadowing right there is where there's the gasket and the case are. So there's plenty of room to hog it out. I just find you get lazy when you start hogging all this material out the bottom. So I want that velocity up. Everybody does it different. You can do your own way. Don't matter to me. Same thing here. That's only raised enough to break through the plating and to square off the intake, or excuse me, the exhaust port. Everything's chamfered, looks good. There's a few witness marks right there. I might polish that up. It's easier to see in the camera with some reflective light on there. Look at that last little bit of transfer off of there before I button it up, just to make sure everything's good. And just a quickie before and after on the muffler mod focus. That's a relatively small hole right there. We'll hog all that out right there. I'm gonna leave this corner here just to make sure that we don't melt any of the plastics up top. I always have to keep that in mind when you do a muffler mod. So you got to think about where that hot air is going. All right, nothing fancy, but All that's opened up in there. Come on. So that should let her breathe. Super nice. I got a timing advance left to do. And I believe we can bolt this back together. Just a little side note here. See how that boot is all the way up against that intake flange, all the way around. You want to take your time mounting this up and make sure that the rubber boot, which has to plug into the hole in the intake, and then this plastic piece slides into it. That way you know you got a good seal, you're seated all the way across. I usually do the intake boot first and then slide everything over it and then clamp it down. And then again, that factory, it's a pretty sharp bend in a piece of rubber tubing. I'm telling you, that's the best $4 you'll ever spend. All right, everything back together. Took it outside, fired right up for me, got tuned dialed in. Let's go cut some wood. I tell you what, it's amazing how good these little saws were back in the day. Even with this minor little bit of performance work, I mean, when you grip the trigger, it's at wide open throttle in a fraction of a second. Beautiful, beautiful saws. By the way, here's something cool you don't see every day. See if I can get in close enough. That says Germany on it. I don't think Bosch, these are the old school green plugs from many moons ago. I don't think they've been made in Germany, or at least available to us here in the States for 15 years. They were made in Brazil for a little while, and now they all come out of China, and they're blue, and they're the crappiest plugs ever. And just to show you what I mean, I've taken these out of used pieces of equipment. One of these got a little bit less use than the other one. The electrodes wear down something awful. Okay, don't look at the gap. Look at the height of the electrode from the end of the threads. These wear down something fierce. They're really, really crappy plugs. Well, Christopher Robin, it's a blustery day in the 100-acre wood. Okay, let's try that again. That ought to do it. All right, couple things to wrap this up. I had to get some mixed fuel, so I got some HP2 mixed up for myself because I'm so happy I got some. Anyway, when I was pumping the fuel, it was coming out super slow, and I'm like, okay, maybe nobody's pumped any non-ethanol gas today. So I let off, and I hit it, and let off, and I hit it, and let off, and I hit it, and it never came up to full tilt buggy. And I'm like, I wonder if the fuel filter, water separator's full, whatever. But anyway, I just took a fuel sample out of there, and it's crystal clear. So trust but verify, my friends. I always take a look at my gas. I know I'm more anal retentive than most about stuff like that, but this gas goes in other people's saws. So that's why I'm a little bit more conscious. Anyway, back to the 346. It runs pretty good. I mean, there's definitely a huge difference. Some of the builders on internet say that you don't need to machine your cylinders to get performance. I got performance gains out of this, But when you start machining stuff, then, you know, things really start to wake up. But this is exactly what he asked for. He said, look, just a little bit more performance, give me some better throttle response. For whatever it's worth. That was a brand new chain, but it's got like the little safety bumpers on it. It's an Oregon chain, nice and sharp. But that's just an out of the box chain. No issues, nice, easy build. And Ben, this saw's been here forever, along with a couple of his buddies. And I've finally gotten around to doing it today. So Ben, thanks for your patience. And everybody else, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.